ነው? እኔ ሳልሰማቸው ቀርቼ ይሆን እንዴ?
Okay, Matt, I think whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, sounds good. All right, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining the Alexandria Housing Development Corporation's Homeownership Kickoff Meeting. We're excited to have you with us this evening. I hope tonight that we can provide you with some really good information on homeownership opportunities provided through AHDC, along with an understanding of homeownership financing and resources that you can have made available to you as home buyers.
De vivienda, junto a con esto entender de propiedad, financiamiento,
meeting.
አንዳንድ ነገሮች መጀመሪያ ለመናገር ፈልጋለሁ።
We assume your consent to be on a recorded meeting. Live captions will be provided in English. This is an automatic captioning system. So at this point, it may not be 100% accurate, but following the meeting, AHDC will ensure that an accurate transcript is made available on our website. Live translation into both Spanish and Amharic is also available. If you would like to use this feature, you can locate the globe icon on your Zoom screen and then select which language you would like to listen to. Also, we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the meeting. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, you can do one of two things. You can either raise your hand, clicking on the raise hand button to ask your question out loud. We'll take note of this, and then during the Q&A session, open up your mic to ask your question. Or you can also put your questions into the Q&A box, which we will address during the Q&A session. We've received a number of questions before the meeting even began, so some of these questions may already be covered, but we welcome your questions as we present the material. We do have a packed agenda for this evening, so I'm just going to skip this section and jump right into introductions. So I do want to introduce some speakers tonight. First, my name is Matt Rhodes. I'm a real estate development associate at AHDC and the project manager for our homeownership development at Seminary Road. I'm joined tonight by Regina Pinckney, who is a business development officer at Virginia Housing, and we'll be walking everyone through some of the products Virginia Housing has to offer, as well as some of the homeownership finance. We're also joined tonight by the City of Alexandria's Office of Housing, along with some housing counselors from Centro de Apoyo Familiar, First Home Alliance, and the Latino Economic Development Center. And also on this call is Kayla Hornbrook, AHDC's Vice President of Communications, and she'll be tracking your questions as they come in throughout the meeting, and will be leading our Q&A session near the end of the presentation. So just before we get into anything else, just a bit more about AHDC. AHDC stands for the Alexandria Housing Development Corporation. We are a nonprofit affordable housing developer and property owner working exclusively in the city of Alexandria. We were founded as an organization in 2004 with a mission to develop and preserve housing that is affordable in Alexandria so that all may live and thrive in our community. To date, we operate 8 apartment buildings in the city with over 1,500 residents living in our buildings. A common misconception sometimes is that AHDC is a part of the city. We are not. AHDC is a separate, independent nonprofit organization, though we do work extremely close with the city and specifically the Office of Housing. And here's just a map of some of the different areas that we serve as an organization. We work throughout the city, having some properties, some apartment buildings down in the Old Town area. We also have buildings in the Arlandria-Chira-Logwood neighborhood in the north of the city, and also on the west end of the city. The 2 proposed homeownership communities that we'll talk a bit about tonight are here at point 8, you can see on the screen. That's the Seminary Road community off of I-395, And then point 9 is our proposed Glebe and Mount Vernon homeownership project in the Chiralagua neighborhood. So if we just jump straight into the homeownership program, I'd like to discuss AHDC's shared equity program. Now, homeownership is new for AHDC. Mostly we focused on rental housing in the past. So our homeownership program is really an attempt to encompass both the homes that we'll be building along with the requirements to purchase those homes through AHDC. To start that conversation, a brief overview of homeownership and some of the challenges that are identified. It's clear that there is a need for affordable homeownership in the DC metro area and the city of Alexandria. Opportunities for affordable homeownership are few and far between. The inventory is fairly low, and over the past 20 years, we really haven't added too many homes to meet the demand that is in this area. On average, a home in Alexandria sells for over $550,000, which is really unaffordable for many families in Alexandria. There are some homes in the city that are affordable, that have affordable purchase prices, but many of these are older. They may be in larger condominium buildings with very high condo fees, which results in monthly payments that are actually quite unaffordable when you actually start digging into your payments. And this situation, the market that exists, it's getting worse. Prices are continuing to rise. There are new jobs that are coming into this region, meaning there's even more households that will be looking for places to live in Alexandria and take advantage of all the great amenities that this area has to offer. Homes are being bought after only really a few days on the market at times. So anyone who has been in the housing market recently can probably relate to a lot of the struggles of finding homes. So for a lot of these reasons, AHDC started building out our homeownership program within the last year. We're creating what is called a shared equity homeownership program that will provide and preserve affordable homeownership in perpetuity forever. This is in line with our mission as an organization to create quality, affordable housing that empowers our residents and benefits Alexandria's neighborhoods. So you might be thinking, what exactly is shared equity homeownership? Is this different from any other type of homeownership? In most ways, shared equity homeownership is no different than a home that you would buy on the market. You own your home, you have a mortgage, you make your monthly payments, you can make changes to your home, and you have the right to sell your home at any time. The main difference of a shared equity homeownership program home is that the home you'd be buying through AHDC comes at a quite significant savings. In many instances, we're able to sell homes. We will be able to sell homes for almost half of what they would be sold in the market. This is a benefit that allows many families to achieve homeownership, but it does come with the responsibility to share this benefit with future buyers.
ትርፉን ከወደፊት ገዢዎች ጋር መካፈልን ያጠቃልላል። በትካሽ ይገዛል፣ ግን ትርፉን ከወደፊት ቤዞች ጋር
Recibe tales ahorros al principio de la compra. El precio de reventa a través de AHDC es restringido.
This kind of gets at the heart of the shared equity program. We want to provide access to homeownership opportunities today that may not have otherwise been available. We want to provide an opportunity for some wealth creation through homeownership, which is one of the benefits of homeownership. But we also need to ensure that homes remain affordable into the future. We think this is a really good opportunity to jump into homeownership and take advantage of the resources that AHDC, the City of Alexandria, Virginia Housing, and others are bringing to create these affordable homeownership opportunities in this area. There are some requirements to be eligible for the homes that will be built. You can see those here on the screen. But to just quickly review, to be eligible for a purchase through the AHDC Shared Equity Homeownership Program, buyers must first reside within the city of Alexandria. They must have a household income that is less than 80% of area median income for the unit they're purchasing. And now incomes vary by household size, and these 80% AMI income limits vary by household size. Just as a point of reference, a four-person household, 80% income is a little over $100,000 a year. The third requirement here is that the home purchased must be the homeowner's primary residence. And this is something that, as part of the program, would be confirmed on a periodic basis, normally on an annual basis, confirming residency. And also, finally, a buyer generally must have not owned a home within the past 3 years, so they must be a first-time home buyer. There are some exceptions to this fourth requirement. In addition, buyers should also understand that there could be additional requirements set out by their mortgage financing, their lenders, other subsidy programs or sources of funding. So just make sure you're aware that there could be additional requirements. So for those who are interested in purchasing a AHD Shared Equity Homeownership Program home, there is a process that we would ask that you follow. This is a rough outline of the steps that you would need to take. There's some flexibility on these steps when they might have to occur, but this is the process we envision. Some aspects of this pathway to homeownership are required, though, so just keep that in mind. First, we think it's a great step if potential home buyers get in contact with housing counselors. You'll hear from 3 of these housing counselors tonight, and you can receive a number of services to help your progress towards home ownership from these counselors, one service being pulling credit reports. In addition, the next step would be to complete home buyer education. Now, this can be provided by these housing counselors. Often they'll have weekend trainings, and they can tell you more about that later in the presentation. But these home buyer educations are required by Virginia and the City of Alexandria home buyer assistance programs. So this is something that you'd want to make sure that you're completing if you're considering purchasing a home. Once you complete the home buyer education, we at AHDC suggest that you send us a confirmation of your completion of that program. This will be our sign at AHDC that you're really taking these proactive steps towards homeownership, and we'll start helping to track your progress to ensure that you're ready to purchase when our homes become available. This step isn't necessarily required, but it's a way that we feel like we can help, especially if you're interested in one of our units and making sure that you're on track for one of our homes. So once you've completed homebuyer education, you can continue to work with your housing counselors to ensure that you're mortgage ready, at which point you'd be referred to a Virginia housing approved lender to receive pre-qualification. If you're interested in an AHDC home, we do ask that you meet with AHDC staff to discuss the specifics of the shared equity program. As I discussed, it is slightly different from market home ownership, and we just want to make sure that buyers completely understand the type of home that they're purchasing, any additional requirements that the shared equity creates. After this, the home buyer should be ready to purchase and can apply to homes as they become available, either through AHDC or the City of Alexandria. If a buyer is selected, which this process can vary, sometimes it can be random, but if they are selected to purchase a home, they will lock in their financing, which we expect to include an allocation of Spark financing for the AHDC units. I know Regina is prepared to discuss this later. And at this stage, you'd also be able to finalize your down payment, your closing cost assistance. And the final step really is that you work these steps, you become approved, you find a home, you become selected, and then you schedule a closing. You're able to sign on the dotted line and move into your house. So like I said, this is the process that we envision. There are certainly some absolute required steps here, such as the home buyer education classes, becoming pre-approved with the lenders and taking advantage of those Virginia housing resources, while as others really involving AHDC are not necessary for each and every home. But if you're specifically looking at an AHDC home, we would strongly suggest and sometimes require that you meet with AHDC staff. So I do want to highlight some of the homeownership projects that AHDC is working on that will be available for sale in the future. We're very excited about our project at AHDC Seminary Road. Some of you, if you're on our email list, you may have seen some updates on this project. This is a 36 home project on the west end of Alexandria near the Francis C. Hammond Middle School and the current West End Inova Hospital. It's about a half-mile east of the 395 interchange. It's a really great location. It has access to schools, different employment centers, and transportation options that can get you quickly into Old Town, into DC, or really any other area in Northern Virginia. In addition to the 36 homes that are part of this development, the project includes a large community room. It has a number of outdoor spaces and gathering areas, including a really nice patio area. And it also has 19 surface parking spaces for some of the homeowners and then guests at the property. There are three main types of homes that will be available for purchase at AHDC Seminary Road. The first of which are 2-bedroom flats available in a condominium building, which was on the eastern side of the property, the right side of the site plan that was shown previously. These units are 2-bed, 2-bath. They're all on one level. The proposed sales prices for these homes is $275,000. There are a total of 5 of these homes, all in one building on the site, and these homes all each have one dedicated parking space included. The second type of home that will be available for purchase is a 2-bedroom townhome. These homes will have 3 levels with a bottom level 2-car garage. The floor plans here can be seen on the left side of the screen. The middle level is an open concept kitchen, living, and dining area. And then your upper floor has your 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. All of the townhomes will also have small outdoor decks off of the kitchen on the second floor. Both the 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom townhomes will have these decks. So it's some nice outdoor space. In total, there's 16 of these 2-bedroom townhomes at Seminary. And these will be for sale for $315,000. The last homes on the project are 3-bedroom townhomes. These homes also have 3 levels. Again, bottom level 2-car garage. The middle level, again, is an open concept kitchen, living, and dining area. And then your upper floor has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. 3-bedroom townhomes are also nice because they have a little bonus room on the ground floor next to the parking garage. There are a total of 15 of these 3-bedroom homes at the site, and we expect the sales prices to be set at $350,000. So as far as schedule, this project is set to begin construction in December and be completed in January of 2024. We expect to sell homes in 3 phases, with the first phase move-ins expected around February of 2024. So that would be 15 units would come for sale and you'd be able to move in around February. Subsequent phases would be in June and July. Phase 2 is about 16 homes, and then phase 3 is the 5 homes in the condominium building, the 5 flats. The wait list at this time for these homes is not open. We expect to open the wait list and provide other information on how to be selected off the wait list in 2023. So please be on the lookout for more information this year. Also want to quickly touch on our development in the Chiralagua, Alexandria neighborhood, AHDC, Glebe, and Mount Vernon. This is a large mixed-use development. It will include over 400 apartments for rent in the larger of the two buildings you can see here on screen, the building on the left. There will be over 10 or 20,000 square feet of commercial space. This will be community serving commercial space. And then in the building on the right side of the diagram will be 58 homes for sale. We're currently proposing a mix of 44 two-bedroom homes in this building and 14 three-bedroom homes. And at this point, we expect the sales prices to be between $250,000 and $300,000. This is a really exciting project for us to bring to the Alexandria Chiralagua neighborhood. There are a lot of great amenities on this site, different community gathering spaces, and a really nice large outdoor patio on the third floor here, if you can see that on the picture. And there are also 58 parking spaces that will be dedicated to these homeownership units. So construction on this project is a little further out. It's not scheduled to begin until 2024 and be completed near the end of 2025. Again, at this point, the waitlist for the homes at Glebe and Mount Vernon is not open, but we do expect that to open in 2025. We know this is a couple years away, but we wanted to make sure everyone knew about the future homeownership opportunities that AHDC is looking to build. And like I mentioned, these homes are part of a larger development that will also include a rental apartment building. If you're interested in any information on that project, you can visit our website. Pre-releasing for the apartment building should be open sometime in 2024. But I think with that, I will turn it over to Regina at Virginia Housing.
Thank you, Matt. Sorry about that. Had to find my mute button. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I'm excited to talk about your project and how Virginia Housing financing products may help your buyers make the transactions even more affordable. Can you go to the next slide? All right, so we are celebrating our 50th year this year. We were created by the Virginia General Assembly in 1972. And while we were created by the Virginia General Assembly, we are an authority in the state of Virginia, not an agency. We are a self-supporting, not-for-profit organization that receives no state or federal taxpayer dollars to advance our mission of affordable housing for Virginians. We raise money in the capital markets by buying loans from our approved lenders and then packaging them and selling them to Ginnie Mae, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac. Every year, we contribute a significant portion of our net revenues to our REACH fund. And a lot of our projects and programs come out of that REACH fund, like some of the things we'll talk about today. The mortgage credit certificate is covered by REACH, as well as Spark. And we'll talk more about those in detail later. Next slide, please. So, Virginia housing financing. Who is eligible for these loan products? Now, these are the loans and programs that are going to help you purchase a property anywhere in the state of Virginia. So who's eligible? First of all, you have to be a first-time home buyer. Now, our definition of a first-time home buyer differs a bit from AHDC's. So be aware that there will be some differences as I speak about income limits and things like that. But this is just an introduction. This is to get you started. You're going to talk to professionals that are going to help you figure all the nuances and details out on a one-on-one basis. So who's eligible? A first-time home buyer. Our definition of a first-time home buyer is someone who has not lived in a home they've owned in the last 3 years. And the person who uses Virginia housing financing must use the property as their primary residence. All borrowers must occupy the property. We have household income limits and sales price limits. And we also have a residency requirement that the borrower must be either a US citizen, a permanent resident, a non-permanent resident that meets FHA requirements. And of course, you are required to have home buyer education. Next slide. So we at Virginia Housing, since we require home buyer education, we provide it and it's absolutely free. As a consumer, you have the option of taking our home buyer education course in person. It's approximately 6.5 hours. It's taught by professionals in your community that actually do the work. There'll be realtors and lenders, home inspectors and title company folks there to talk to you and teach you about the home ownership process, the pros, the cons, and how to get ready. It's a great opportunity to ask folks questions without any strings attached. But if you cannot attend an in-person class, we offer our class 24/7 online, self-paced, and both versions of the class are absolutely free. Our online class is offered in both English and Spanish. Next slide, please. So we have income limits, but we don't have minimum income limits. We have maximum income limits. And as you see there at the top row, the Washington, Arlington, Alexandria MSA, you'll see that we use gross household income. That means every dollar that comes into the home. And then we divide it into two categories, 2 or fewer people in the household or 3 or more. We then divide those categories into standard or with a grant. Standard means that you're not getting any free money. Every dollar you get from Virginia Housing, you will pay back over the course of the 30-year period loan. With the grant limits, as you see, are lower, it's because the grant is actually free money. We will give you money to either help you with your down payment or your closing costs, depending on which loan program you use. And that money is forgiven at settlement. So when you get the keys to your house, we forget about it. You will not owe us the grant money. And so the income limits are a bit lower. And to the very far right, you'll see our sales price and loan limit, $550,000. And that's in the Northern Virginia region only. So those are our limits for maximum income, not minimum. Next slide, please. All right, so now I've said we offer financing. So let me help you frame who we are. Think of Virginia Housing like a brand, like a brand of car. You can get a Toyota SUV, or you can get a Porsche SUV, right? You can get a Toyota 2-seater convertible, you can get a Porsche 2-seater convertible. They both do the same job. They just do it a little bit differently. One's fine-tuned to give you a different, more refined experience, right? The Porsche. So when you think of financing, of course, you want to think of Virginia Housing as the Porsche in financing. And under our brand, just like under the Porsche brand, you can get different types of vehicles. So can you under the Virginia Housing brand. And so those same old loans you've heard about all your life, FHA, VA for veterans, rural housing, and conventional loans, when you pull those loan products under the Virginia Housing umbrella, we then give them a shot of steroids with some special benefits that help make home ownership even more attainable and sustainable over time, especially in a high cost market like ours. So one of the things I love about Virginia Housing programs is
ለቨርጂኒያ ሃውሲንግ የምወደው አንዱ ነገር ለመጀመሪያ ቤት ለሚገዙትን
Dineros uno no gana muchísimo, no tiene muchas opciones, pero nosotros hacemos todo lo posible para asegurarnos que tenemos opciones.
FHA loans, which are government insured. We do VA loans for veterans, also government insured, and rural housing loans in rural areas. We have a second mortgage for those of you who may make too much money for our grant. And then we offer the traditional conventional loan programs that you've heard of, previously. We have a conventional with mortgage insurance, and we have a no mortgage insurance option. And that's where you see at the bottom, the last bullet, conventional, no MI. Next slide, please. So down payment assistance, how do we do that? Now that's the grant. We're talking about the grant, free money forgiven when you get the keys to the house. Nothing else to worry about. So if you look at the chart there, you'll see if you do a conventional loan with us, we will give you a flat 2% of the sales price or the appraised value, whichever is lower. So if you have a $300,000 sales price, we will give you a $6,000 grant on a conventional loan. And if you do an FHA loan, we'll give you a 2.5% grant. Now, why do we do that? 2% for conventional, 2.5% for FHA. That's because FHA requires a larger down payment than conventional, and we want to level the playing field so that if you do a Virginia housing loan and you use our grant, no matter what, you'll only need 1% of the sales price or appraised value, whichever's lower. Next slide, please. Now, for those who use our veterans loan, our VA loan, or our USDA loan for rural housing, these two loan programs are already 100% financing, so they don't require a down payment. So for borrowers who use these two programs, we have a CCA, a closing cost assistance grant. And that is a flat 2% of the sales price or appraised value, whichever is lower. It will go to help pay your closing costs. And again, at settlement, we forget about it. It is totally forgiven. Now, when you use our grant programs or our second trust, you cannot have more than 10% down. If you can put 10% down of your own money, you don't really need our money on top of that to make your transaction happen most of the time. So we have what we call a maximum or a minimum LTV of 90%. Next slide, please. Now, for folks who may make too much money for our grant, or who may not have or want to spend the 1% towards down payment, we offer a second mortgage. And with our second mortgage, you can get up to 101.5% of the sales price. That means that we will finance the entire home and give you up to an extra 1.5% of the sales price to help cover your closing costs. So what's that mean for you as a consumer in a market like this one where sellers are not often paying closing costs? You won't have to ask for it. You can get some of that financed if you have a credit score of 680 and above. All borrowers must have that 680 credit score to get 101.5% financing. With the 620 credit score, you can get 100% financing. And the way that works is, and you can tell in the name, it's called a second mortgage. So you'd have a first mortgage at 97%, and then you'd have a second mortgage if you had a 620 credit score of 3%. Or if you had a 680 credit score, then you would get a 4.5% mortgage, allowing you to have no money down. Now see that little pro tip at the bottom in red? You want to make sure that you see that and you remember this. Whenever someone says no money down, that does not mean no money out of pocket. Because even if we can cover the financing for the home, you will most likely still have upfront fees called POCs and closing costs. Next slide, please. At Virginia Housing, we also have something, and I love this little guy lifting the weights in the corner. That's our mortgage credit certificate mascot. And our MCC, if you don't remember anything except for these homes and MCC, you'll be doing a good job, but try to remember more. But the mortgage credit certificate, as a first-time home buyer, when you sign those docs and get the keys to your first home, it would be great if you had a mortgage credit certificate too, because what it does is it gives you additional savings on your federal income taxes every year you live in the home for the life of the loan. And it does that by converting 10% of the interest that you pay in a mortgage to a dollar for dollar federal income tax credit. Now we know that tax credits have a bigger impact on our savings when it comes to paying taxes than a deduction. So I'll give you just a quick example. Let's say you paid $20,000 in interest on your mortgage. You would take 10% of that, or $2,000, and then you would just chop that right from whatever Uncle Sam, the IRS, says that you owed for federal income taxes. The other 90% that you of interest that you paid, you can still deduct that the way we're used to doing it traditionally, on top of taking the 10% tax credit, or you can take the 10% tax credit and use the standard deduction. Now, if you complete your purchase with a Virginia housing loan, we will give you the mortgage credit certificate for free. So be sure, and when you ask your lenders, let them know, hey, please make sure I get the mortgage credit certificate on my loan, because that's going to save you money on your federal income taxes for the life of the loan, as long as you live in the home. Next slide, please. Now, this is my favorite, Spark. Spark comes from our REACH funds, and it is a 1% reduction in interest rate for free. So if today's rate is 5%, 5.5%, your rate would be 4 or 4.5%. Whatever the rate is, just take 1% off, and that's what Spark does. Now, next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, Spark stands for Sponsoring Partnerships and Revitalizing Communities. And what we do is we offer these discounted interest rates on mortgages throughout the state of Virginia. But they are administered by different sponsors. So some of the folks that you're going to talk to here later on in this presentation are sponsors for Spark, and there are those that help throughout the state with Spark. And basically what they did is they came to us and asked us to discount a certain number of dollars worth of Virginia housing loans in their community. So they might have said, well, we want you to discount $10 million worth of loans in our community. And then you will ask your lender, when you talk to them, you'll say, hey, can I get Spark and can I get MCC? And then they will go to the sponsor to get the Spark for you and apply that 1% discount. Now you must know, and please remember, that Spark is first come, first serve. There's a finite number of dollars that we can discount each year. And so you have to be mindful of that when you're seeking this discount, but it is an advantage that is going to be very helpful in the months and years to come as rates fluctuate. Next slide, please. So here's an example of, I kind of told you about who we are, what we do, why we do it, what loan programs we use to do it, but it's nice to see the programs in action. So here is a $275,000 purchase price. We have some closing costs added. We're over on the left. We add in some escrows and prepaids. Escrows are monies that are collected for your future use as a consumer. Prepaids are things that are fees that are collected for the lender to pay other contractors. So you might pay for your appraisal upfront and things like that. So we have the escrows and prepaids, and then we have our first trust mortgage. You can see at the bottom, you need $18,390.89 cash needed at closing to buy this $275,000 house. Now you'll see in the lower left corner that the seller is allowed to pay up to $8,250. They're allowed to pay it, but they don't always pay it. So that's why I didn't include it in this transaction. Now, if we look at the right, we can see what the monthly payment on this loan looks like. And this is a market rate conventional mortgage at 5.375%. And with market rate mortgage insurance at 35% coverage. And you'll see your principal and interest is $1,493.72. And then you add in your hazard insurance, your mortgage insurance, your property taxes, and the condo fee. Now that's what we in lending call the PITI, P-I-T-I, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And whenever you talk to a lender and they give you a quote, you want to make sure that they're giving you the total housing payment, or the PITI. Okay, so now we see on this $275,000 home with a $350 condo fee, we have a total monthly payment of $2,287.94. And this is with no special assistance. Now let's go to the next slide and apply some of our programs. Now, this is the same transaction.
ይሄ ተመሳሳይ ክፍያ ወረቀት ነው። ታች ላይ በግራ በኩል ያለውን እዩት። ዲፒኤ ግራንት የሚለውን
A la izquierda, en el estado de Virginia, el estado de Virginia tiene pues un subsidio de asistencia para el pie de compra. He usado eso como un estimado consultivo de $10,000 de subsidio del estado de Virginia. Esos fondos también se otorgan a las personas.
And I applied the Virginia Housing Grant for $5,500. And now we have our loan amount of $266,750. But look at cash needed to settle at settlement. Much more doable than the first estimate. Now let's look over on the left and we'll see the monthly payment has dropped significantly as well. So that payment, that first payment was well over $2,200. Now we've got it at $2,081.61. So this example is with down payment and assistance from Virginia Housing, the down payment and closing cost assistance from the state of Virginia, and reduced mortgage insurance, which is a little more than half, it's discounted, a little less than half of what normal mortgage insurance is. And then we also have applied Spark. So the rate went down from 5.375 to 4.375, 30 years fixed at no extra charge to the borrower. Next slide, please. And here's an example at a higher sales price. We can apply the same grants to this sales price. The state of Virginia, $10,000. The Virginia Housing Grant has increased because the sales price increased. And then of course we have a first trust mortgage. But even with the sales price of $375,000, you'll see cash needed at settlement is less than $5,000. And that's with no help from the seller. And take a look at the payments on the left, and you'll see that this $375,000 home with a $350 condo will render a payment of $2696.13. This loan financing structure includes the Virginia Housing First Mortgage, a 1% interest rate for Spark reduction, Virginia Housing down payment assistance, reduced mortgage insurance, and the state of Virginia down payment assistance grant. And that's kind of what you want to ask for when you talk to your lenders, when you interview them. You want to know all of the resources that are available to help you make this big purchase more affordable. Next slide, please. My name is Regina Pinckney, and I'm the Homeownership Business Development Officer for Northern Virginia. And you may reach out to me via email or through the phone. And if you have any questions about Virginia housing. Thank you.
Thanks, Regina. I think we have some representatives from the city of Alexandria next. Yes, Office of Housing. So I believe that Vicente is joining us and Gypsy as well from the Office of Housing. So I'll hand it over to you. I can control the slides as well.
Sure. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vicente Espinosa. I work for the Alexandria Office of Housing. And before I move on, Regina, you did an excellent presentation. Okay. This evening, I'm gonna discuss about closing costs and down payment assistance. Next slide, please. Home buyer resources. The city of Alexandria can provide down payment and closing cost assistance to first-time home buyers purchasing a home through affordable set-aside Home Buyer Program, Alexandria Neighborhood Stabilization Program, Resale Restricted Homeownership Program. And let me tell you the difference between these three programs. Under Affordable Set Aside Home Buyer Program, the properties have a huge discount from market value. For example, a property may have a market value of $500,000, but under this program, City of Alexandria eligible income buyers can get it anywhere from $175,000 to $275,000. And these properties are affordable for 40 years. After 40 years, the homeowners can sell it to anybody and they don't have to pay the discount. However, they have to pay the loan back to the City of Alexandria plus the equity share, assuming that there is equity share on the property. For the Alexandria Neighborhood Stabilization Program, Rebuilding Together Alexandria, in partnership with the City of Alexandria, buys properties in need of repairs, rehab it, and then those properties are sold to City of Alexandria eligible income buyers. Those properties are resales restricted in perpetuity. For resale restricted homeownership program, those properties have a discount from market value anywhere from 1% to 20%. And also these properties are affordable in perpetuity. Next slide, please. Flexible Homeownership Assistance Program provides a no interest deferred payment second trust loan up to $50,000 to first-time home buyers purchasing a property that Office of Housing markets for sale. Income limits, depending on the program, up to 100% of the area median income, $129,000 for a family of 4. Next slide, please. Basic eligibility requirements must be a first-time home buyer. First-time home buyer definition is as no prior homeownership in the last 3 years. An exception can be done on a case-by-case basis if it is due to a divorce. Gross annual income within current limits. Must live or work within the City of Alexandria. They have to live or work within the corporate limits of the City of Alexandria. Some folks who call me, they say, yes, I live in Alexandria. And when I ask them, where exactly you live, can you tell me the zip code? They tell me it's 22310 or 22303. I know that is Fairfax County. And they have to complete a training for home first-time buyers. The training is done through Virginia Housing, and those trainings are, as Regina mentioned, are anywhere between 6 hours to 10 hours of training. And also, they have to do a counseling session. We call it individual counseling session. It is done by a Home First Alliance. Next slide, please. Okay, the income guidelines. For one person household, if the income is below $57,650, the person gets up to $50,000 in assistance. If the income is between $57,651 to $72,240, then the person gets up to $40,000. If the income is $72,241 to $81,270, the person gets up to $30,000. And finally, if the income is between $81,271 to $90,300, the person gets up to $20,000. Next slide, please. Anybody who has questions, the Office of Housing telephone number is 703-746-4990. They can also visit the Office of Housing webpage at alexandriava.gov/housing. Also, anybody who's interested in receiving emails about units we market for sale, they can sign up for e-news. the way to sign up for e-news is they have to go to the webpage for the City of Alexandria. There is a search dialog box, and they have to type e-news, and then they can register for e-news. Okay, any questions? And that's my end of my presentation.
Thanks, Vicente.
Thank you.
I could say the e-news is a really great resource if you're interested in other homes in the city that I'm sure AHDC's homes will be there one day, hopefully, but there's a lot of good affordable home buying opportunities that'll come through e-news. So if you're interested in hearing more about those opportunities, I would definitely sign up for the e-news.
And I think I see a hand up, but just to, as an order of housekeeping, we'll hold Q&A until we're done with the next section of the presentation. So sit tight, we'll get to you, I promise.
Okay.
Thanks, Kayla. So at this point, we want to introduce you to a couple local housing counselors in this area who agreed to present some of the resources that they have. So I think, let's see. Yes, so CAF is up first. I think Julio is on the phone, so I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me well? Fantastic.
Yes.
Right. I am Julio Artiga. I am a housing counselor with Centro de Apoyo Familiar, or Center for Assistance to Family, CAF. We are an organization that was funded in 2006. We operate in the states of Massachusetts, Maryland, and also Virginia, and we also serve people in Washington, D.C. The mission of the agency, as you can see there on the slide, is basically to empower and revitalize communities through educational empowerment. And we believe that information is power. And also the areas where
vivienda, consejería. También ayudamos a personas que están en riesgo de perder sus casas.
We do also rental counseling and education, and we have food distribution activities. We have financial literacy also, and we offer the one-on-one counseling that is needed for this kind of programs with Virginia Housing, which, by the way, is a wonderful program. We have worked with many home buyers, prospective home buyers, and I have done a lot of counseling with them. And at the end, we send a certificate that is needed for the program. The impact that the organization had is 1,500 families impacted by the services last year, and a number of them in the areas of foreclosure prevention, in the areas of pre-purchase housing counseling. Basically, the organization believes that if you are a family trying to become homeowners, it's extremely important that you go through the process of educating yourself and getting the information you need to become a homeowner. Because it's not only becoming a homeowner, but it's also being able to sustain homeownership. So really, we believe that homeownership needs to be affordable, but it needs to be also sustainable, which basically means that maybe you can qualify for a mortgage and get into a home, but the important thing is we need to make sure that you can stay in that home, right? And not face foreclosure. And so the services that we offer as a HUD counseling agency are free. We have a team of counselors, and also we offer our services online and on the phone. And also once a month, we have classes in person. But also if you go to the website, www.mycaf.org, and you go into the event section, you will see when the next classes are taking place. And at the end of April, we have on Friday the 29th and Saturday the 30th, online classes that are divided in 2 days. Besides that, I will say this. Studies have shown that home buyers that go through this type of classes, that get this kind of information, and that have interacted with housing counselors are more than likely able to stay in their home and have a higher rate of success than people that are driven by emotion or by the opinion of their friends and relatives or people at work. Everybody's saying, oh, becoming a homeowner is the best thing you can do in life, and also renting is throwing your money, right? And so we have this perception that you have to become a homeowner at any cost. Well, we believe in homeownership, but also we believe that, again, that you have to go through this process and hopefully, have all the information you need when you deal with the lender, the realtor, the title company, and you understand the terminology. You're not just signing a piece of paper. You really are understanding what you're doing, and you are able to negotiate in better terms with those actors in the process of you becoming a homeowner. And you're not really lost, in all the terminology or signing papers just because somebody told you that is a good deal. So my message is, go out to any one of the housing counseling agencies that are represented here. We'll be more than happy to work with you also. But if you're going to start in this process, let's do it the right way. And I'm sure that you will be successful and that you will be able to take advantage of these great resources that they have presented here, and the great opportunities in Alexandria with these developments, and Virginia Housing with the wonderful, loan products. So I wish you the best, and I hope that you can really become a homeowner as a family, that you get there and you benefit from that the right way. And that's pretty much my message today. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Julio.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Looks like next we'll be turning it over to Larry from First Home Alliance.
Yes, good evening and thank you. And thanks to all the presenters that have presented tonight. And also we're a proud partner of VHDA, Virginia Housing, and also the city of Alexandria, and also with CAF, we've done some partnership. So thanks for to share a little bit.
First Formalized Alliance, establecido en 2002, mientras yo estaba en deber.
Virginia area. And so we've been a proud partner of Virginia Housing and have used our curriculum and built a strong partnership. We have educated over 6,000 households and coached them to become homeowners. We have educated with financial literacy over 16,000 families and households since 2002. Our services extend throughout Virginia, where of course our target area is the Northern Virginia, based in Prince William County. But we also have expanded our reach, where we have an office in Maryland and also Cook County, Chicago. Our mission is to increase sustainable homeownership and financial capabilities among underserved, low to moderate income, and our military veteran community. We also have strong partnerships with the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals, and also with some of the other veterans organizations in the area. And so we do also partner and also giving additional education on the VA loan. The products that we provide is financial emergency assistance, homeless prevention, rental, fair housing, homeownership, emergency preparedness, disaster recovery, foreclosure prevention, reverse mortgage education, and also all those areas where we educate. We also provide the confidential one-on-one counseling. We have a strong team that is some located in Virginia, Maryland, also Chicago. This opportunity has allowed us to do a lot of virtual services where we are able to provide both educational and also our virtual counseling through the internet, of course, with Zoom, but also telephone and other devices with Teams and some of the other social media aspects. We have 5 certified housing counselors on staff and able to provide those services in both English and also Spanish. We pride ourselves in basically being in home ownership and look forward to doing more, seeing more homeowners become successful homeowners. In 2008, the downturn in the economy, it gave us opportunity to further our skills and also outreach the need in the community with foreclosure prevention. Since 2008, First Home Alliance have helped over 3,000 households prevent foreclosure by finding other alternatives to keep them in their homes or transition out of their homes without foreclosing. And so this latest pandemic offered us the opportunity to actually expand in virtual counseling. And also we provide mobility where we actually have a vehicle where counselor or assistants can actually go out with an iPad to areas of location where individuals that have maybe skills that they cannot access, or elderly that may not be able to travel, and provide those services in remote areas. The impact of First Home Alliance, again, I mentioned that we have educated over 16,000 households in financial literacy, over 5,000 first-time home buyers. And last year, we serviced over 915 households in the areas of operation. There's some of the upcoming events. I would like to invite you all. If you're up at 7 a.m. on Monday mornings, we actually add physical fitness with financial fitness, where we actually put on a yoga session. It's about 15 minutes, so you're free to join in on Zoom or just visit our Facebook page where we'll be streaming it live. And it's every Monday morning at 7:15. We started it during the pandemic, and it has continued over the year, and that has increased in participation. So you're invited to join us. You're also invited to join us on a Thursday afternoon. Actually, right now, we still have a virtual financial literacy series that we've been conducting for over 15 months now. We have a number of partners, some of the financial institutions, some other community partners that are supporting our financial literacy. And so, of course, we reach out to our target audience, but when we stream, and just about every Thursday, we're streaming. And so it's open to the public to come in and join us with financial literacy on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Since October, we've been back in the classroom. We've been live in person with our first-time homebuyer classes, conducting the Virginia Housing Homeownership educational class in the city of Alexandria. We are there on the 3rd week of nearly every month, on a monthly, that we're conducting that class. And also some months we're actually doing more than just that class there. So we're pursuing other partnerships and opportunities to do so. We would like to invite you to join us on April the 30th for our Volunteer Appreciation and Housing Stability Clinic, where we will be there at the Veterans Memorial Park in Woodbridge, Virginia. This is our annual event. Normally we have a participation, 150 or so families come out. There's games, Zumba in the park, there's a nature trail walk, there's a lot of prizes and raffles, and of course some first aid and financial literacy exercises that we'll be doing there. So look forward to you joining us there. Our organization, you can find out more information from about what we're doing on other events at firsthomealliance.org. If you would like to call 877-250-9075, and you can easily email us at help@firsthomealliance.org. Again, my name is Larry Laws, and I appreciate the opportunity to share the information with you.
Great, thank you, Larry. Thank you for the information and the upcoming events. At this point, we would hand it over to Karen from the Latino Economic Development Center.
Hi there. It's great to be here. I'm assuming you can hear me.
Yes,
thanks, Matt, and thanks, Kayla, for inviting us to this great opportunity. I'm really excited that there is going to be some affordable homeownership opportunities in the city of Alexandria. As we all know, and as Matt mentioned earlier, it's just really hard for our first-time home buyers. So this is such a great opportunity, and I'm so glad that you're partnering with Virginia Housing and hoping that we can continue our mission of providing affordable homeownership. So LADC mission is to drive the economic and social advancements of low to moderate income Latinos and other DC area residents by equipping them with the skills and tools to achieve financial independence and become leaders in their communities. So we provide a lot of different services. We do a lot of what our fellow housing counselors do: financial capability, first-time homebuyer education, and foreclosure prevention. In addition, in our Maryland and DC markets, we provide tenant rights, and we also, in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Puerto Rico, we provide small business development and micro lending. Our impact in Virginia, which is our office here in Arlington. And by the way, I have worked as a housing counselor since 1995. So I worked previously for an Arlington-based organization called AHOME that merged into the Latino Economic Development Center. So I have been providing homebuyer education longer than I'm sure some of you have been born. But anyways, so last year in our Virginia office, we had 45 households that were able to purchase a home. Most of them were actually through committed affordable properties, affordable dwelling units. We did a lot of housing counseling, mostly also virtual or by phone, but I also am doing actually in-person counseling at our Arlington office. We also have provided homebuyer education classes in person. And then we also helped 19 families with preventing foreclosure. So again, just like First Home Alliance and Apoyo, we provide in-person homebuyer education classes. Our next class is on April 9th. And then we have another one on Saturday, May 14th. The other thing that we are also doing we're doing some credit improvement classes, and we are able to provide some incentives to folks who need help with their credit. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. One of our most popular classes, believe it or not, is a condo class that we have been doing. And I typically do about twice a month on a Tuesday, and we talk about condo ownership. And we have a pretty good turnout because the Virginia housing class is really geared towards folks buying a single family home. So we focus 100% on condo ownership, which has a little bit of nuances. I don't want to keep anybody any further. So my contact information is at the bottom there, 703-527-3854. You can visit our website, ladcmetro.org, or you can send me an email. If you stop by our office, please call before you show up, please. As I only like to have one homeowner or home buyer or foreclosure prevention client in my office at one time. We are trying to really be careful with our COVID protocols, but we'd be happy to meet with you in person. And so I am the last speaker between now and all these questions that you have. So I'll turn it back over to you, Matt. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, the condo class sounds really useful, as all of the units that all the homes we would be building at AHDC would be a part of a condominium association. So it's a really good knowledge for home buyers to have. I think with that, it is time to turn over to questions. I think that Kayla has been tracking some of your questions throughout the presentation. So I will hand it over to Kayla.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So just a few housekeeping points before we get into questions. As we mentioned before, and as I've kind of been talking to a few people, if you have questions, there's a few different ways you can answer or you can ask them. If you go down to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, you can type in your question and we'll keep an eye out for it there. Some of you have been typing in your questions, and a few of them I've been able to answer more quickly, and a couple of them I've reserved for the live Q&A session. You can also hit the raise your hand button. I will call on people as I see the raise your hands come up. We'll probably answer a few of the written questions, go to a hand raise if we see it, and bounce back and forth in between the two. If you can't stick around, if you're concerned that you're running out of time, you have to run off to go do something, please put your question in the Q&A, and then we will definitely make sure that it gets answered. If it doesn't get answered here in this session, we will have it online on our website afterwards. If you can't stick around and it does get answered in the session, we will have a recording of this all available on our website as well. So Matt, if you'll go to the next slide, here's the pre-submitted questions that we received. So we're going to go ahead and go through these. So if you see a question that you think you might want to ask that's similar here, maybe we'll cover it. So if you want to wait in case and see if we get your question covered based on the pre-submitted questions that are here. I'm just going to briefly read through them so our translators can capture them as well. Right now, all of our transcripts and materials, it is in English. We will have a transcript on our website after the fact, so you can go through and put translating programs on these questions as well. So we're going to ask, where can I find other affordable homes? What is the income you need to qualify? The sales prices feel too big. If a person has already received homeownership assistance, can they receive it again? What credit score do you need? If I already own property, do I qualify? Can a homeowner rent out a room? How are property taxes assessed? What percentage of the property sale does the city or AHDC take? Are there mortgage programs or assistance programs for senior citizens? Can a housing choice voucher be used to help pay? And then a few questions about the physical space. So once again, I'm going to go through these. I'm going to give Matt a few of these to answer. I'm going to keep an eye on the Q&A and we'll just kind of roll through it together. So Matt, where can I look to find other affordable homes? I think you mentioned e-news, but I'll let you go after that one.
Yeah, I think in the city, the best place for your affordable homes, finding out when they're hitting the market is e-news. Vicente and Gypsy can add to that, but I think that it's a really good resource to get really up-to-date information. And as well, if you are interested in an AHDC home, our website at housingalexandria.org/homeownership would be the place to get those updates for those units.
Yes, the city of Alexandria can provide information on rental. The Office of Housing keeps a list of affordable apartments as well. I don't know if this person is interested in renting an apartment or buying, but if it is to buy, also that person can contact us at 703-746-4990 for additional information, either on buying or renting.
All right, thank you, Vicente. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Let's move on. So a lot of questions relate to income. What income do you need to qualify? Maximum and minimum income. I believe we covered it a little bit with the HDC program, with the Virginia housing programs. But if we could talk about the income you need to qualify for this, and maybe specifically the income you need for our Seminary Road project as well.
Sure. So incomes can vary. The requirements for incomes can vary. It can fluctuate based on interest rates and different factors. I think Regina might be best able to kind of give a good explanation of minimum incomes for some of these homes.
Thanks, Matt. In order to know if you qualify for a purchase of any property, you need to talk to an approved licensed lender. And they look at your income, but they also look at your debt. And so your income and the amount of consumer debt you have are going to determine if you qualify for a property. For example, I'm a former loan officer, and so I will have one client come in and they gross $50,000 a year. And I'll have another client come in and they gross $75,000 a year. But the person who makes 75,000 does not qualify for as much home as the person who makes 50,000. Why is that? Because the person who earns 50,000 has no consumer debt. They have a car that's 10 years old and been paid for. They pay off their credit cards every month, and they can afford more house, or they can qualify for more house. The person who makes 75,000, they have a Lexus, brand new, right? 5, 6, 7 years of payments to go. They may have some other big credit card bills and things like that. So it's really a case-by-case basis where you need to get your documents together and talk to a professional to help you determine if you qualify for any sales price.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Regina. I'm going to move to a question that came in from the Q&A. I believe I'd seen this in kind of the pre-submitted as well. Could we talk about the difference between residency and work requirements, or residency requirements required for moving into a first-time home purchase unit? I believe this came in early in the presentation, so this might have to relate to the City of Alexandria programs in particular, or a non-permanent residency requirement. Maybe just double back and touch base on that, and we'll see if we cover the question. And if not, if the question asker could follow up, we'll try to cover that for them.
Sure. Yeah. So the residency requirement is that you've lived and worked within the city limits of Alexandria, and like Vicente mentioned, it's the City of Alexandria, and not Fairfax or some other location in Northern Virginia would be the City of Alexandria.
I can speak a little bit about that. Yeah, the requirements are that the person has to either live or work within the corporate limits of the City of Alexandria at least 6 months prior to the application. So yeah, the person, if the person, let's say one person lives in Alexandria and works in DC, that person would be eligible. Also, if the person works in Alexandria and lives in DC, also that person would be eligible, provided that the person is a home first-time buyer and lives or works in Alexandria.
All right, thank you, Vicente. I'm going to move on. Let me ask this question. If a person has already received homeownership assistance, can they receive it again? And let's also just package in there, if I already own property, if I've already purchased a home, can I qualify for this?
Sure. Go ahead, Vicente. I'll let you answer.
Okay. If that person bought in the City of Alexandria, there is one-time rollover, but the person has to have the home at least 5 years before that person can do a rollover. Also, the person has to be income eligible. So the person, we have to look at the income and see if that person meets the income guidelines.
Regina, is that the same qualification for any Virginia housing products that they can roll over as well, or is it a first-time home buyer within 3 years?
Okay, for us, it's someone who has not lived in a home they've owned in the last 3 years. So we make that exception because we have lots of folks who need that flexibility. For example, folks in the military. They may have been in Texas and bought a home there, and now they're based over here in Virginia. They've been here for 3 years renting. They want to put down some roots. They're technically a first-time home buyer with us, even though they still own that home in Texas. Now, that is a very loose and flexible use of first-time home buyer status. The other programs do not. In fact, Virginia Housing is the only program that I know of that uses that very flexible definition of first-time home buyer. And there is no rollover with us because we have the mortgage, and either you pay off the mortgage over time, over 30 years, or you may sell the home and pay it off, or you may refinance and pay it off, but there's no rollover.
So it's important to understand that the type of assistance that you have received in the past, and if it is eligible and allows you to purchase a home again under one of these programs. It can vary.
Okay, I'm going to, I'm kind of moving through some of the categories of questions. We have translation services available until 8 p.m. And then I think after that, we will allow everybody who's graciously donated their time to go ahead and sign off, and our translators to sign off as well. But Matt and I can probably stick around for a little bit to try to wrap up if we roll over. I also don't want to speak for Matt's time. But make sure that if you do have a question, get it into the chat, and we will ensure that it is answered in our written Q&A that we put on our website if we can't cover it tonight. Let's talk a little bit about credit score. I've seen a lot of questions related to this. And the follow-up questions, you know, what credit score do you need? Can I fix my credit score? Can you qualify if you've previously had bankruptcy? And then there's a question in the chat that also asks, can you qualify if you're impacted by student loans?
So I think Regina's suggestion for most of these questions is correct, that you should first contact a lender to understand your specific situation, understand what requirements, what your requirements will be for the loan products that you're looking for. So Regina, is there anything else you can add to that as far as minimum? I know the Virginia Housing has minimum credit scores for their products.
Right. We have a minimum credit score of 620. And with the 620 credit score, you can get up to 100% financing. And to address, can I fix my credit? Yes, you can. And you have 3 awesome HUD-approved housing counseling agencies on this line that know how to help you fix your credit for free.
Yes, and I would second that. A couple of things I forgot to mention. I think a HUD-approved housing counseling agency is the doorway to homeownership. And so I would encourage you to seek out a HUD-approved housing counseling agency in your area. You can visit HUD.gov and go to the one near you, or you can, of course, reach out to the HUD-approved agencies that are here. And so, yes, we do one-on-one assistance, where we confidential one-on-one, where we sit down with you. We actually work through your budget. We actually work and develop a spending plan. The main thing we do is actually develop a action plan, a step-by-step action plan for you to help achieve the financial fitness goal that you may have. And if it's a home ownership goal, we'll set a plan for you and help you step-by-step through that process. We really enjoy that. And I'm sorry, one other thing I didn't say, Regina, I really want to appreciate Virginia Housing for granting us the opportunity to be a Spark sponsor. And so this is our first calendar year of being a Spark sponsor. And we started off with a modest amount of Spark funds. We're just about finished. We're over halfway through the Spark funds. It is first time, first serve. There's a lot of happy homeowners that have come through the program with their lenders that are surprised. It's amazing how that 1% will give you more affordability and help you compete in a market that we're in. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to do that. And we have a targeted area for Spark, and sometimes we're not able to accommodate outside the area, but definitely encourage you to seek the Spark sponsor to help you to get into a property that you may not have been able to afford without it. I hope I answered the critic.
Yes, I think so. I think so. I was just waiting to doing the practice pause.
Yes.
And just briefly related to kind of the work that you do and that Karen and Julio offer, some questions I've seen in the chat, some questions specifically related to your programming. Just to make an announcement to everybody, we will be putting this recording online on our website. This will include all of the slides, the presentation, all of the question and answer sessions. Outside of the video, we will also make all of the contact information for everybody on this call available, so you'll have access to it. Once we have that on our website, we will email everybody who participated in this Zoom webinar with that information and the link to where you can capture all of this. As well, we will have the translated versions up on our website, in addition to a written version that you can run through translation software. I'm the person who does this. I cannot guarantee that I will have this done tomorrow, but I will have it done next week. So once that is available, I will email everybody who's here just to make sure that you have all of the information. The contact information will be online much sooner. So if you have questions specifically for any one of the housing counselors who's been here for the city of Alexandria, for Virginia Housing, you will have the information that you can reach out to them and ask them, and they are very enthusiastic and eager to talk about what they do. So the conversation will continue. There's a few questions here I'd like to capture about Seminary Road. I've seen people ask when the applications for the Seminary Road project will come out, and then also roughly what the timeline would be for starting the process and moving into a house in Seminary Road. So Matt, I thought that might be a good way to start with you, is just kind of talk about the Seminary Road timeline.
Sure. So as far as the wait list, I think we would envision that wait list being opened sometime in 2023, probably around the middle of 2023. And then units or the homes would not become available until early 2024. The first set of homes would be in February of 2024, and then subsequent homes in June and July. And so I think we are still finalizing with the city how that process will work exactly, how the waitlist process will work between the different phases of homes. If you're not able to get a home in the first phase of that waitlist, how you can get a home then in the second and third phases. As far as timing goes, I think we're looking out to 2024, which gives anyone on the call some time to work with our housing counselors here, to work with lenders, to become pre-approved, to if there are any issues with credit, to address those issues so that you're in a position come 2023 when the wait list will be opened to apply for those homes at Seminary.
And then Regina, this might be a good question for you. From when somebody begins this work to when they would purchase a home, what would roughly the time frame be?
I think that really depends on the market. It depends on the person. So I can say generally, if one were seeking out, just looking in the open market for a home, it might take them 4 months from the time they start to the time they get the keys. That's if they have a housing search, right? And they have to write offers and wait for the seller to accept multiple offers and things like that. But I think that what tends to happen is that once the person identifies a home, things move very, very fast. And so that's why now is a great time to reach out to the HUD approved housing counselors, tell them you want to get mortgage ready, and get that work done now, so that when that waiting list opens, you already know that you're qualified, how much you're qualified for, and that your credit is good, that you're actually going to be successful in closing.
Wonderful, thank you, and sorry to put you on the spot.
No worries.
It is now 8 p.m. So I do want to respect the time of our translators. I know that they may be signing off soon. So thank you so much to their incredible skill for helping to make this meeting more accessible. I know that I've talked with John Frederick, AHDC's president and CEO. He's willing to stick around for a little bit. And I'm willing to stick around for a little bit. So I think we'll stay till 8:10 and try to clear through a few more of these questions. And then after that, I will take any remaining questions and we will have them on our website. So If you are in one of the foreign language channels, if you switch back to the English channel, you should be able to join us. I believe if you stay in the foreign language channel, it will just continue on with my voice. But if you're having issues, I recommend navigating back to the English language channel. We will also have transcript of this available that you can run through translation software after the events as well. Let me ask this question. It's fairly popular. Can a homeowner rent out a room? Can they sublet the property, or can they list on Airbnb?
So this is a question that we are still at AHDC working on. We know that our homes won't be available for purchase for a few years, and so this is one of those questions that is still a little bit up in the air for us. We understand that there could be reasons that someone would want to rent a unit, would need to rent a unit in their home, and we just want to make sure that that is something that can work with our funders, that can work with the city of Alexandria, that can work with the goals of the program that we're trying to put in place, which is really to support home ownership, and not to have rental properties in these units. So to really support first-time home buyers. But we are still open to rental, and we haven't made a final decision on if we wouldn't or would allow rentals or subletting of the properties. What I can say is that at this point we would be against Airbnbs. We're looking for these communities that we're building to be residential communities where the homeowners, as the policy stipulates, would be the primary occupant of that home. So we wouldn't be looking to rent out for short-term rentals. Kayla, you're muted.
I knew that would happen once. Yes, Kidan, thank you. You are more than welcome to sign off. We appreciate it very much. Sorry, my screen is goofing up a little bit. So the question I was going to ask was, are the AMI limits for 2021-22 available? And then a follow-up, will the seminary townhomes be on a lottery process? I briefly can say that the AMI limits for 2022, they typically update in April. I haven't seen news of them updating yet, but those should be coming out soon. But will the seminary townhomes be on a lottery process is a question I cannot answer, so.
Yeah, so we are, I think, still working with the city on the exact way that the wait list will be, homeowners would be selected off of the wait list. It will be random in some way, so it could be a lottery, but there could be other ways. We still need to work with the city on that decision to determine how waitlist buyers come off that list and are selected. So that's something that before the waitlist is announced in 2023, we would have made decisions, and that would be very clear for anyone looking to buy and get on that waitlist in a year.
All right, thank you, Matt. This question says, I am an interested home buyer. Can I qualify with an alternative source of income? I have rented for over 15 years with excellent rental history.
I may have to defer to Regina on that one, Kayla.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends on what that alternate source of income is. For example, let's say there's two partners in a household and they want to buy a home together. One person has an 800 credit score and the other person has a 400 credit score. You cannot use the income of anyone who is not a borrower, an eligible borrower, to qualify. So if the alternate source of income is someone else's income that's not on the loan, you may not use that with a Virginia housing financing. And with just about any financing. You may not do that. But if you have a second job or you're self-employed and things like that, lenders will be able to tell you how that income will be treated.
Kayla, I'm not sure if John is on the line, but if there's anything John would like to add about anything that AHDC is doing with Isuzu or any credit assistance.
John is on the line, but I don't know if he's on the mic, so to speak. He's here, but may have stepped away.
So we can follow up with some additional information specifically on how the rental history can be beneficial throughout the home buying process.
Here's a question.
Kayla, I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second. Did you have a question?
Yeah, Matt, maybe you could repeat it.
John, I was a question came up about alternative forms of income and having 15 years of good rental history. And I wasn't sure if there was anything you could add about anything AHDC is doing to try and capture that rental history.
Yeah, sure. The sad reality is that historically rental history was not reported to the credit bureaus and did not work to help your credit score. We have partnered with a group named Isuzu with all of our properties in Alexandria to start that reporting and hopefully in a look back 18 months. So if you're a resident of AHDC, that will significantly improve your credit score. It's one of the things that we're trying to do to kind of level the playing field with renters that do have a great payment history, a rental history. I can't say that's the reality right now for all apartments in the DMV region. I hope that becomes the new norm, but that is something that we're offering to our residents.
All right, I have two more questions that I think we can sneak in here. One I've seen in a couple places. Is there a capacity limit or a capacity requirement for living in one of these affordable units that AHDC is offering? A more specific version of the question, could a borrower with a 2-person household purchase a 3-bedroom townhome?
Yes, we don't have any stipulations at this point in time on household size and unit type, number of bedrooms. You would still need to qualify for that unit based on your income for your household size, though.
Okay, and then last one for the evening. Can a housing choice voucher be used to help pay mortgage?
Yes, I understand. Regina has been filling me in on this, that it can be. I'm not an expert in that, but that is, and how you could transfer those vouchers, but it is something that can be done. Yes.
If I may, Matt.
Sure.
If you have a housing choice voucher in the city of Alexandria, talk to your caseworker about the potential to have a housing choice voucher for purchase. Ask your caseworker about a housing choice voucher for purchase, because they can and have been used to help attain home ownership. And it's an amazing, amazing process.
Okay. I've already kept everybody 10 minutes over, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. I'll have a record of them, so we will get them answered on our website and in our follow-up materials. You'll be receiving several emails from me over the next few days with contact information, with ways that you can reach out with additional questions, and alerts when video versions of the presentation become available as well. When you exit this webinar, you should be redirected to AHDC's website. Please feel free to sign up for any of our email lists if you haven't already. We have one on housingalexandria.org/homeownership. If you sign up there, you will be signed up for a homeowners interested list only. So this will send out information when we have new homeownership related events, news that we want to share, information about the Seminary Road project, information about our development on Mount Vernon and Glebe in our Landria Chiricahua. If you are also on our website, you can sign up for just our general monthly newsletter if you would prefer. If you go to housingalexandria.org, there's a contact button in the upper right. You can add your name there. You'll get a newsletter from us once a month. We will also include information about when seminary might have wait lists, but we'll include information about all of our other programs and developments as well. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you so much to all of the housing counselors who participated tonight. We will have their contact information available, and I'm sure that they would love to hear from you and answer any of your questions that you may have specifically. In addition to Regina and Vicente from Virginia Housing and from the City of Alexandria, really just a meeting of the minds and an experts here on this call tonight who all had to deal with me as the MC. So I very much appreciate their patience and their participation tonight. So Matt, any last words?
Nope, I'd just like to echo what you said. Thanks to everyone. And I believe Larry said that your housing counselors are your gateway to this. So some key takeaways: reach out to your housing counselors and look to complete the home buyer education courses, and that will put you on the right track. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks.